I carried out audience research at lots of different stages of my project. During the research, the scripting, the production of the animatic, the editing, and also for the production of my poster. I learnt that audience research is really important and useful in the decision making process. It's important to take into account the views of your target audience, as they are the ones who will eventually watch your film. Before conducting any audience research, I needed to identify my target audience. For this project, it was parents with young children, so around the age of about 25 to 40, or perhaps a little higher. I made a target audience profile to use as a model member my target audience, so that I could ensure that I'd be asking the right people questions when carrying out my research and getting feedback. My first audience feedback was from a questionnaire about my initial idea, asking questions regarding how I could develop it. This was really useful in moulding my idea, as I was able to make informed decisions like including a mother character, making stress the cause of the anger of the father as opposed to alcohol, deciding that he would be out and returning home when the boy flees, and also that I would include a musical soundtrack and not a lyrical one. In my questionnaire, I asked closed questions to get a clear numerical response so it's easy to shape my idea on their responses. But later I conducted research on the editing of my film partway through the post production with open questions, which allowed for the feedback to be broader, giving them the opportunity to explore ideas and give suggestions in their response. Like when I asked, "Are there any improvements you'd recommend for my film?" The response noted some things I hadn't picked up on, saying that there were a few sounds when the father was repairing the stall that didn't sound very nice. So I was able to use my target audience feedback and learn from it to improve my production. I got audience feedback during the production of my animatic too, which gave me an indication as to how to improve my production, such as highlighting the importance of sound, both dialogue and the soundtrack. I got feedback on my script and shot types, and also appraisal for parts that were good, saying that they enjoyed the sweet plot. The responses were influential in moulding my production as I subsequently went about approaching these issues, like adjusting my script. For example, the initial idea was to present the concept that it was love and forgiveness that changed the father's response in the cellar from his previous anger to a kind father willing to repair the stall. But it is evident from the first draft script, which was clumsy and unrealistic, that it was too direct, saying, "I love you, you are my son." This notion needed to be implied, not explicitly approached, so I needed to make it more nuanced and have the idea presented more through the action and not through the dialogue. For the production stage, I conducted research into my title, listing a few suggestions myself and opening the option for their own suggestions. I went with their eventual conclusion to go with the title of Broken. Feedback on my first edit was useful as it pointed out various faults and possibilities for improvement. I also got a few comments about aspects I hadn't even noticed, like the harsh sound in the father's flashback. They were only minor, but once they had been pointed out, I could see what he meant and reduce the volume of that part. This demonstrates why seeking audience feedback is so important, because it can highlight problems you might not even notice anymore as you've watched the footage so many times during the editing. With my film poster, audience research was really useful. After researching conventions of posters, I drew up three of my own. I asked members of my target audience which they thought was best. And number two was voted as the favourite because of the blank wall space and because it displayed the boy playing with the object that was the catalyst of the whole sequence. Although my final design differed from that initial one, it was in essence very similar as it showed the boy holding the key object and it had a big area of blank wall for the title and text. I carried out a survey to help decide upon a tagline for my poster and which I also used in my film review.